Hey, everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. It is a Monday. We are hanging out at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. We are going to talk a lot about the Ohio State Buckeyes with Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and the birthday girl.
The birthday girl. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
It's her 25th birthday today,
I love
so
you
we're
for that.
going
Thank
to have
you.
a huge celebration for her.
That would be
Actually, they're going to
amazing.
get her first beer coming out here in a minute.
That's right. Starting early. In fact, nobody else is even here, so it's a surprise party for now. That's what we're starting on an early Monday. Do you still get, have big birthday parties? Do you celebrate those?
Did you get presents this morning?
Christmas seems more important to you than your birthday.
I'm celebrating it at a choir concert for my son.
Okay.
It's perfect.
Nice.
Maybe sing happy birthday there. Here's the thing. My son's is December 1st. So, if you're between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm going to be honest, Nicole, it's kind of a bad birthday.
I don't know. I love it because it just gives me, I love the Christmas season. So it's just one more fun thing, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know any different either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But, I feel so bad. My son, growing up, his birthday, it's the week after Thanksgiving, too. So it's always kind of transitioning. It's oh, yeah, I sent RJ a birthday, and it's kind of his Christmas gift, too. I'm like,
No.
so
Yeah.
You got to double up on
You
that
can't
one,
do
right?
that with little kids.
Yeah.
That's rude. No.
I know. But listen, I get it. And my gosh, I feel bad. It's just a victim of timing. So I'm sure that happened to you probably a couple times
I
growing up.
don't know. I don't think so. My nephew's birthday is Christmas Eve. So,
Oh,
and we
gosh.
host Christmas Eve. So we always try to make it a birthday celebration too.
Nice.
Just because
Did you get
that
some
is.
What kind of is a birthday celebration in a way?
It is. It is.
Did you get some catering for it? Roosters catering?
I have gotten Roosters catering. We're doing Roosters catering this weekend for my husband's manager party, and then yes, we are going to
JC's
have.
thinking
I'm
about
showing
it.
up.
on
Man. I might
Christmas
just
Eve,
show
too.
up.
Christmas Eve we close, I believe, at 5:00. It's on our website. And New Year's Eve we will be open regular hours because of the games, and then New Year's Day we're going to open at noon, just to give some of our
What about just
team members
staying-
come in a little bit late, an hour
Let 'em
later.
sleep in
I
a
guess.
little
Yeah,
bit,
just
yeah.
a little bit. We used to be off, but with all the bowl games, we
People want to
just
go watch
can't
some
anymore.
games and eat
Get
wings.
out of the house.
I think kickoff being at 8:00, you guys should just stay open all night
Yeah.
and just all the
Keep
way
the
through
party
New Year's Day.
going.
Just-
Yes.
Those games will kick off early. I don't know why, but Liberty said that she wanted to give you this temporary tattoo for your birthday, Nicole. So,
Aww.
she didn't make a card. She didn't have time, but she wanted to give you,
You guys, that is just the sweetest thing. These are the things. These are the things when you get older that they just mean the world because it's
Yeah.
precious.
She didn't know what kind of animal you wanted, but she settled on a
Obviously.
dog because you suggested that she get a puppy for Christmas.
It takes
so that was
every
Is that
thing
is
I
that what
have,
Nicole
not-
suggested to your
Oh.
youngster to
Yes.
get a dog for
100%.
Christmas?
yeah,
I already found a robe you can get for Allie because when you go to let the dog out, you have to have a full length one.
right.
But it's
Get it on Christmas right before Berman and I have to drive.
Just
to
before you're going
Atlanta
to be
on
out of
Christmas.
town for a few weeks.
I did it 2 years in a row. It worked out.
I don't know if Allie's going to sign off on that one, especially if the Buckeyes follow that up with a win in the Peach Bowl and then head to the national championship. I've had about 8 days to think about that matchup.
Ooh.
Has it changed? Has your mind changed about what's going to happen on New Year's Eve yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't really started working through everything yet. I mean, there's a little more clarity on the game, who's playing, how that's going to look. There hasn't really been any changes. I wanted to get a chance to see practice, feel the guys out. I mean, a lot of positive vibes. And, I think that's obviously the mentality going into it is part of it because they're going to have to play a good game to win. I mean, you're in the playoffs now. This isn't like roll the helmet out there. And, as long as you don't play bad, you're going to find a way to win and maybe even cover. They're going to play a really good game. And so you're just seeing the confidence level, the mentality going into that. You got a good shot, but we'll see here. Over the next 5 to 7 days will really kind of tell the tale, I think, of where they are and if they can put themselves in position to win it. Because that's ultimately what you want to do. With 6 minutes left in the game, do you have a chance to go win the game? Because I would like to think that either side, that's the goal to try to get to. The coaches can put you in that position, then it's ultimately go make the plays.
I have a question, and I'll make it quick because
You don't have to.
It's
You
a
don't.
Nicole
We have
crazy
all the time.
question.
Yeah.
It's a crazy question.
Those are the
It's
best.
Nicole's day. It's her birthday.
So I believe part of coaching is the mental teachings as well as plays and just the logistics of the game. But are there specific coaches that are part of the staff that help the mental blocks of what the team was going through for Michigan?
So they have sports psychiatrists. This is much better than it ever was.
I don't think
The-
we had anything
it's-
back in our day.
The
Right?
Sandman yard.
circle of care, Bob. The circle of care.
That's true.
Is that what Ryan calls it? Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love
So
that.
I believe that I'll have to double check this. they have enhanced that staff, as Bob is talking about. I think there are three full-time sports psychologists, on staff for Ohio State to work with that.
I think we had one for the whole department.
Yeah, it makes a change.
1,800 students.
And I think there are 2 other people that work alongside those. So I think it's a total of 5. I would have to double check that. Other programs can certainly use that, other athletic programs, but they are housed upstairs in the Woody, right, Bob? That's and easy access for the football team because, as you've talked about a number of times, Nicole, the pressure that these guys are under. It's not just about the wins and losses, but anything. Think about stuff you were dealing with when you're 19, 20, 5 or 6 years ago for you. That the pressures of just being a college student on top of the intensity of the sport.
And with every social media now, which I hope they try not to follow all the quote unquote trolls out there that, that I'm serious. Just it's horrible. When people complain about the players and just say the meanest and most hurtful things, I'm like, that would be hard. That would be just really hard to see all the time. You already feel bad enough if you made a mistake. So I love Ryan Day that he has this team of people to help, and hopefully they're taking advantage of that to overcome the kind of mental block that some of them experienced in Michigan during Michigan game.
I think that's very real, Nicole. I'm sure there probably have been conversations. That is something I think that should be classified under HIPAA, and that there's no need for people.
When your appointment is.
Yeah, when. And, we got this guy talking to him. That's stuff that's very private. It should remain that way.
I think it's great for people to talk to.
No, it is.
You're fixing an issue. It's check it off the box. Instead of just trying to handle it, you're jumping in and you're fixing it. It makes it go so much easier, so much faster.
Tempting to.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. And then the other part is just getting back in there and finding a way to kind of get your confidence back, being able to go out and have actual practices, go make plays. And while it's not a game, you get the confidence from being able to have success, through your training and, relying upon that in critical moments. So hopefully they get to that point as well where this week, the end of last week, they're starting to ramp it up a little bit, but this week is going to be the big, putting a lot of stuff in. Try some things out, polish it up, and then we'll see kind of where we're at next week as they kind of move into more of a game week mode.
Yeah, because think about it. Just the emotional roller coaster that they've been on, right? You go to play your Michigan game.
Yep.
Our season is over. That stunk. We got our butts kicked. And then, boom, just like that, all of a sudden, we got to ramp this back up. We got a huge game coming up in, however many days. So, I think, to your point, having somebody over there to talk them through that sort of thing and, just kind of get them back. And then to Bob's point, just getting back on the field and saying, all right, the last time we were out here together, it didn't go so well. How do we fix it? We've looked at all that stuff. How do we make sure we don't make that mistake again? So just the emotional roller coaster of getting back out there, getting on the field, and getting back into game prep. We're like, it's not just another, it's just not a bowl game. It's a playoff game, and this is a chance for us to go out and find one of those goals that we set at the beginning of the year.
One more question.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
This is like the Nicole's mailbag.
Yeah, this is it. I love it.
So the guys,
I'm gonna leave actually.
When when you're working out 5 days a week, and then you go on vacation and you get back, and then you've got to start working out again. And that first workout is do you guys go through something when you have this huge break in between the last game and then a bowl game? When you the games are back to back to back, you're on an adrenaline rush. You're in it. It's just part of it. It becomes easier and easier and easier because you're doing it every week. And then you have this giant break. That first workout every time after vacation, you're just like, this is miserable, Yeah.
It's the one different part of it is those guys, Nicole, the day after the Michigan game, or at least the Monday after, everybody was back in there.
Which that's great. I love, that's kind of my question.
There's an old adage, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So
I like it.
You don't, I go on vacation, relax a little bit, but I don't want to do nothing for 6 days because I know how bad it's going to feel like the first day back. And it's always going to feel a little rough. So you don't ever want to kind of drift too far away, especially during the season. Now it's important to kind of get off, decompress, but then during the off season, they call it oozing back in, where you kind of longer ramp up period. They don't have that here. So, they were working out intermittently, then they got on the field, but these guys have been doing stuff and staying physically ready and in shape hoping for this opportunity to come. So that was, I think, the reason why, Big Ten Championship week, they're still working out. There's a hope and a possibility.
And you typically do that. Like I never went on spring break because it was like we had spring break practice on Monday.
Yeah.
So it was like I always just stayed and worked out and threw and did everything I had to, giving myself the best chance to start off on the right foot. Now you're going to be a little bit, I don't know what the word is, rusty, I guess, going back to that first practice just because you have had some, a week off or there hasn't been timing, you haven't been throwing 7-on-7 or, that sort of thing. But, it's easier, like Bob said, to just jump right back into it. And, the excitement of why they're jumping back into it has got to help them get, if we're going to the Alamo Bowl, it may be a little bit harder to get hyped up for that practice or to say, all right, here we go, guys, let's go. But now it's like, ooh, we're here.
So something that Ryan Day did for this bowl prep was the week of the Big Ten Championship game. Bob alluded to them having workouts. Not only did they do that, they had 2 full practices on the Wednesday and Thursday of that week, and they treated it as if they were going to be in the college football playoff. Yep. Now, they didn't know, and I sort of asked, what was the vibe of those practices like? Because you don't know. And C.J. Stroud, his career was on the line. He may or may, if they were going to the Orange Bowl, he was not going to play. Spoiler alert, he would have been done. So, yeah, those 2 practices, and then I believe it was 2 last week. They're also trying to juggle getting through finals. They are still student athletes. You have tons of other things with the recruiting period going on for the coaching staff that need to be on the road for times and transfer portal opening and Kevin Wilson going down there to take the Tulsa jobs, other stuff that we can get into. So it was a weird week. So I think, Bob, they just practiced twice. So they've used 4 of the allotted workouts for the month. You have to sit down.
How many do they get?
15, yeah. And then you have to.
Is that per NCAA?
Yeah,
NCAA?
for bowl prep. So they
for bowl.
So they've got to. They had to.
I was assuming they were going to make a bowl game.
Yeah, that's right. They were eligible for half of the season after they got to 6-0. So Nicole could start planning on the Roosters.
What happens if you plan? What happens if you have an extra practice?
Well, some bowls are gonna start this week, and so you couldn't even really get 15 practices.
So you only get 15 despite the fact you might be playing in the last game versus the first game?
Yeah, so you have
that seems kind of ridiculous.
Well, we're talking about the NCAA.
That isn't ridiculous.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I could name about 15 other things that have happened.
I know. Okay, I get it. I understand.
If you want
go down that,
but you have to make a plan for how you want to manage the month because certainly a plan to win, and certainly by the time you get to Atlanta, you want to have a full normal work week. Well, how do you get to that point? So far, you sit down with Quinn Temple, Ryan Day, the coaching staff. What do we want to do? And they decided let's use 2. We don't want to be fully checked out. Keep people engaged before Selection Sunday, which wound up being smart because they got in. Use a couple more last week, and now you're going to go.
I think they only have 2 more weeks, and you're going to
they get off from the 22nd. They get to go home for Christmas, so you're still managing that part, Nicole. They
get to go home for
when do they fly
actual
down?
Christmas Day.
They will get to.
They're leaving Christmas.
They leave
Day.
on 22nd.
Okay.
The team will arrive on 26th. They don't have to leave on Christmas Day this year.
Oh, so they're coming back.
At least
night they'll have to be back.
At least that's my understanding. Berm and I are leaving on Christmas because the team gets there on
I think
26th.
maybe some of the sports support staff and people.
Well, you load up the truck. Yeah. Everybody else, they do their fancy arrival, whatever. Like if United or Delta gets to sponsor the playoff and come on out to the tarmac and welcome the team. But, which I don't think Berm and I are going to do that part. But,
it's great marketing. I respect it.
Yeah. So Phoenix, the Fiesta Bowl, always made a huge deal out of it and made you go out there for a media event because they had a press conference. This is really dumb. Anyway, I believe that's going to be the 26th. So they give them those days off. I think they have to be back on the 25th so they can leave on the 26th, Bob. Maybe we'll have to get the itinerary.
That might be it. They have to be back the night of the 25th to fly on the 26th. So
team meeting, 8 o'clock. Be there.
I think it's good, though. You just make new Christmas traditions with your family, which is cool. They'll look back on that. Like
if it's in the evening, that's not terrible. Like Ryan's got young kids. I mean, no one's getting in there at 10 a.m. on Christmas. Like probably have some come back Christmas Eve, and we'll work on that from there. Or Christmas, the eve of Christmas. Yeah. Whatever. Christmas
Day Eve.
Christmas Day Eve.
Christmas Day evening. What else is on your mind, Nicole?
I think that might have been everything. I am going to test a new theory. Like I'm just dead set that we're going to win. Like, and I'm going with it. We're going to see what happens. But I'm like, we're winning. We're going to the national championship. Check. That's just how I feel.
Is that your birthday wish?
I no, because I just know it. I just feel like I'm just narrow-minded, honed in on we are doing
so
this.
These players have the same way. Yeah, I like it.
I think
I heard earlier today that Georgia was going to score 40 points.
Oh boy, we'll We'll have Bill on later to defend.
I was going to sell him down the river. No.
Well, if you're going to name drop, there's nobody else in here except Bill and Berm. So Roosters isn't open yet as we record this week. So the number of people who could have said that is pretty small. And it wasn't me. I want to make sure I didn't say it. Maybe, Nicole, it's because CJ is so motivated because Desmond Howard just turned his back on him again on the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
Listen,
I'm glad there's other people that have noticed this, like outside of Ohio State people. Yes. Think it's gotten ridiculous.
I have learned over the years, this is just my opinion, so it's not, doesn't
so we
mean
do
it's
here
true.
Give opinions.
But I think that sometimes award ceremonies, I just feel like it's all politics a lot of the time. You know what I mean? And I just feel like with the Heisman, there's just like a lot more that goes into it, I think. Personally, I think. Yeah. So.
It was clear that CJ wasn't going to win it after losing to Michigan.
Yeah.
I canceled my travel plans to be in New York. I was going to be there. Didn't have to go. Probably better off for a lot of reasons that I didn't. But the Desmond stuff is truly...
It's childish.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a professional on game day. What are you doing acting this way? I mean, you tell the guy congratulations.
Instead of the word politics, maybe I mean just like
pettiness.
Pettiness.
Pettiness
That's exactly
was the right word.
I mean, there's
Sorry,
the rivalry,
guys.
which is great.
Politics. I meant pettiness, just where it's not fair. It's just not picked fairly. But this is where I feel the standard does not apply in the sense that he made it there. Yeah. He made it there. He was nominated. He was,
back-to-back years.
And what an honor.
He and Archie are the only two-time finalists. Now, Archie claimed the statue on book visit, but it's pretty good company to be in if you and Archie are in the same conversation.
That's incredible. And he didn't get to take it home, but it doesn't matter. He was there. I consider all those people winners in that. Now, not everybody gets a trophy. I get that. But I do feel like he deserved it. He deserved to be there.
And he had to have known, hey, that last game, it's a free trip. I'm going to go enjoy it and have a good time. But I think they probably got that one right. I wasn't mad at who the winner was, but the Desmond stuff
I didn't see the margins on it. Have they released that yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
The TCU was second.
Was pretty clearly out there, and CJ, most of his votes were specifically for third. I think he had 37 first place votes. Caleb it wasn't as clear cut this year as some others. It was much tighter, and I think a lot of people started voting for Max Duggan and Stetson Bennett. They held their ballots and like, oh gosh, what do we do now?
Yeah,
CJ didn't play. A lot of people had him in mind as third, but not enough to go higher.
I was just curious how much Caleb. I didn't think CJ would win, but just the difference, depending on who was two, and then what the difference was. The fact Caleb, he lost the game, didn't play poorly, but then the fingernail stuff coming out and all that. And I believe, I was talking to Dusty Dvorak about it. I believe people probably held that against him. And I mean, that's their prerogative and right to do so. I mean, Max Duggan said, or not Max, Cam Rising.
Cam Rising, your guy.
Yeah.
I like Cam Rising.
You like that.
Yeah, but that's.
But to Austin's point, I think a lot of people were holding back because they watched the kid from TCU and in a loss, he played a gutsy game, right? And he did that all year long. But when you left that game, you're like, man, that kid really put it all on the line there. So I think those voters who maybe had waited said, all right, well, we're going to put him second, and CJ just kind of fell down the list a little bit.
They had to have done that with Stetson Bennett because he is a fine quarterback, and he's won a national championship. Ohio State's got to prepare for a lot of things that he can do, not diminishing his skills. But is he even the best player on Georgia? I think probably not. If I was going to vote for somebody from Georgia, I would vote for Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Nicole says there's a little politicking. And how many Heisman voters are there, Austin?
Too many.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
There's over 1,000.
I probably shouldn't have commented because I don't know enough about it.
900?
I just sometimes feel like, I don't know, that just.
Well, and it's, to speak of the political ramifications
it's a
of the Heisman.
It's regional.
They do it regionally. Yeah. They do it like the Electoral College. So I've had votes twice in the past when I was representing the Mountain West region and the Wyoming voter. And then when you left, you had to give that away. I don't know why.
You got to vote for that?
Oh, yeah.
I voted this year.
And then I got it when
that's so cool.
When I was covering Tennessee, I got the vote back because I was in a prominent position. And somehow, after 12 years of covering Ohio State, pretty prominently, maybe people will argue with that, I have still never received it here. But some people who cover baseball are allowed to vote on the Heisman. which I think is great.
People that don't even cover sports anymore.
Yeah.
What
They wait until the end of the year and they say, I got to turn this in.
I'm not mad about it. It was one of the things.
Is it
that,
a paper ballot? Is it?
No,
It
you
did
do it
used to
online.
be.
Now it's all online.
Is it really cool?
They used to. No.
It's like no, it's I had to download another app for the dual factor authentication and everything.
Oh.
Deloitte does it all now.
a lot of these very prestigious awards use SurveyMonkey, and you really feel like it's fun. Like, oh,
This is my friends telling me like, what beer we want to have at the party, or
yeah,
what's your favorite pizza?
I just
That's
voted for
great.
the Outland
Who likes
Trophy, and then I
pepperoni?
got a coupon for 15 cents off at Blockbuster Video. It was great. Thanks, SurveyMonkey. But like, that was one of the things like that helped me win over Allie a long time ago. It was like, she's a huge college football fan. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I vote for the
Look at
Heisman.
this. I vote.
Wow. You guys
I mean,
sound like
I would
brothers.
use that line.
Hey,
That's
hey
pretty
now.
cool.
I'm a Heisman voter.
She's like, which Ohio State player are you going to vote for?
Yeah.
I'm like, none of them.
The way it's
That was
set up,
How the
That was 2008.
turntables turn.
That was 2008.
Austin.
Yeah, I know. Well, who would I have voted for in 2008? I think Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow. Which she was fine. She's like, yeah. T. Peasy. I don't think I was going to vote for T. Peasy.
I don't even know if he was
He's
here.
not even in the record book.
You're surprised on Marvin not winning the Blitnikoff.
Oh my god,
Oof.
just an absolute joke. But you're trying to get me to go.
I was just we talked about the one, and you brought up the Outland. And I'm like, I mean, the Heisman wasn't the only thing that was given away.
Yeah,
So-
the Marvin Harrison Jr. not winning the Blitnikoff is an absolute travesty of justice. He is the best wide receiver in America. People like Jalen Hyatt is good, but they gave it to him based on one game.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison Jr. was the best wide receiver in the country from start to finish. He had maybe 2 bad games, and he had 1 drop.
One drop.
And bad is relative.
I would say he had 2 games where he wasn't as impactful.
He
I wouldn't
wasn't
define it
at
as
the
bad.
standard, yeah.
That's what I feel. Like there are just so many factors involved in
There
trying
wasn't-
to narrow it down to one person that it's not fair.
You have to
Yeah.
watch. The thing is, and this is you have to watch a lot of games to be able to do it and do it well. And so that's why when there's 900 voters, probably about half of them, maybe not half, maybe a third, I don't know the number, but like I probably consume 70% of 6 college football games a weekend. That doesn't on Saturday. It doesn't count Friday night and Thursday and some of that. It's probably more like 8 and 10. I get as much as I can, and I watch all the highlight shows, which that doesn't give you quite as much. And then I'll watch replays of them and stuff throughout the week. I'm doing my
send me
radio.
links to those highlights. I like the highlights. I just narrow it down for me.
But it's
tell
tough
me
to get a
what's going on.
feel because they show you what you want to see. Like you don't see a guy like if you had a critical drop here or this or that. Like you're getting someone else's filter of what they
Yeah,
view to be the
that's true.
important plays, and that's the one problem I always have. Like, well, yeah, there's guys that like he's a highlight machine. Yeah, but what does he do the rest of the time as well? And so it's like Marvin. He never had a bad game. He just didn't have games he wasn't as impactful. He had 1 drop.
Yeah.
Like if you're having a bad game, you're dropping catches that should be touchdowns or should be critical moments. He never had those situations, or he didn't have like some crazy blow up 15-yarder to have a bad false start on a 3rd and 1. You know what I'm saying? Or those things didn't happen. So he never played bad.
So many of those come down to, Nicole, that you have to start voting for semifinalists in
It's just
October.
Stupid.
October, when there's half of the season to go.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's solely based on off-season name recognition and PR campaigns to get to that
Mhm.
point. And then they want you to
Which-
narrow it down to finalists with a month of the season to go in November before the most important games. The one thing the Heisman does better than others is that you don't have to vote at any other point. Now, they should probably wait, I think, until the full season is complete to give these out, including the postseason.
I mean, they really could. They could give it something exciting to look forward to in the spring or something.
But part of the reason,
I guess if they leave, but still.
part of the reason they don't is because college football is still so antiquated in its ways that they were sending out paper ballots
Yeah.
for the Heisman when I started, and that was just 15 years ago, and you still had one in your hand, and you had to mail it in by this time. They were starting to, you could maybe do it electronically. Now they do it all that way, but they're used to the old days where you have to make some moves in advance. So they could give you a list of semifinalists. So they would narrow it down in October because people were sending in paper ballots 30 years ago. And they just never changed. Like, hey, this is a cool system.
Yeah.
People get attention in mid-season awards, and they get to do it in November. And they're ignoring the fact that we don't have to do that anymore.
Mhm.
There's real time. You can just vote once online, and you don't need someone to hold your hand through that whole process, which is really one more thing that's ridiculous about
Yeah.
college football. I'm
Well-
going to list a lot of them today. I think.
No, I mean it's just the reality of it. They're just
They shouldn't let people vote until after the Big 12, at least after the conference championship games.
And you should have to cover college football.
Well,
that is.
And if you don't cover college football
given.
anymore, you should lose your vote, and that's fine. But like as people get older, they retire, they do different things. What are you still voting on it for? Because you're not spending the time that you should.
I lost it twice. They can definitely take it away.
They just didn't like you.
I just think it's so cool you guys get to do that.
Well, the way that it's regionally run, there's like a director for each region, and it may not be set up. There's people that honestly have axes, and so they get to determine who gets the votes for that region. And if they don't like you, then it's going to be really hard to get that regional vote.
More
That's
factors.
awesome. Wow.
Somebody
Bob's getting to the point of it now.
Piss somebody off a pie.
I had to get it through. I tried to get it like 6 years ago, and as soon as I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. So I talked to the person who runs our XM, and Jacob Hester, and I, we do college football every day. Like multiple like that's primarily what we do in the morning. We do this. I do XM. Like I watch a lot of games. Like I'm not saying I'm the best person, but at least I consume a lot of it. Yeah. I mean, I might not like eating a lot of food. That doesn't mean you're the best food critic, but at least it means you have a wide palate on you know what things are good or bad a little bit.
I have a question though. When do you have time? Like when do you do that? How do you watch all the games? Do you just watch highlights, or do you
I
watch
watch the games during Saturdays.
Like.
I'm a bad dad.
Day?
I'm a bad dad, Nicole.
No, do you stay home to watch them?
I'll go watch my kids, but I'll DVR them. And then when I do my shows in the afternoon on XM, I play them on my TV without sound. And then I'll watch some film here and there. But
can you concentrate on both?
Oh, I can. What do you think I'm doing during the show half the time? I watch the TVs up there.
That's amazing.
He's a multitasker.
That's
I watch him when I'm driving around in my car, things like that, you know?
Yeah, the safe stuff, yeah.
You know,
maybe don't do that.
Streaming it right to the screen.
Yeah.
We don't have it out there
now.
The trick is you want to have it up in the dash so you can see
so you can
through.
look
If
out.
I see brake lights, things popping up.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you ask the quarterback, feel the rush, watch downfield. It's the same thing. Play linebacker, watch the backs, feel the lineman. Tell people it's no
driving
different.
a 10,000-pound.
Well, I tell people that. They're like, hey, this guy has terrible vision. I'm like, exactly. I've been practicing this my whole life. That's right. My dad told me he would change lanes without looking around. He goes, you got to feel that thing, man.
You got to feel what's behind you.
He goes, how do you think I played 10 years in the NFL? By turning my head all the time? He's like, no, you feel those cars. It's not recommended for everybody.
I still drive.
It's Carpenter specific. Don't try this at home.
AJ drives with 2 feet. I mean, I don't know what we're doing.
That's he's just like an F1 driver. They're not out here, but tomorrow, if you come to Roosters on appetizer
cheesy bacon wedges.
Bacon.
They're pretty good.
Wedges.
And then everybody, I just want you to know.
Are they back the week after?
Starting this weekend, curly
fries.
Yep.
The triumphant return just in time.
That will be huge. So get those.
And we're still doing our gift card promo. So for every
$50 to $60.
Yep. You get a $10 bonus buck and catering. Just remember, like last minute, we just went to a party this weekend and I thought I was going to make something, ran out of time. So I just went and got boneless wings. There you go. And it was great. Everybody loved it. They were gone.
Of course they did.
Well, it's just so nice. I'm just like, thanks guys for loving us.
You know what would be great? Since we have this variety of wings, like a wing of the month club. Kind of like the jelly of the month club that you could get for a friend and be like, have it locked in with one of the delivery services. And like every day, whatever day this is, boom, you get your 10 boneless wings here.
That's a genius
surprise,
idea.
Boom, here it is.
Nicole's going to go get on that right now.
It's a gift that keeps giving all year long.
It might not be ready until 2024, but Nicole's going to start working on it right now, and she's going to leave and do that. Happy birthday, Nicole. Thanks for having us in here.
Enjoy your day.
Thanks
Make the most of it. This is a fun casual joint. We're at Roosters, and we are in the Horseshoe Lounge talking about the Buckeyes. We'll be right back.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun casual joint. Berm.
Hey!
It's Berm.
It's not my birthday.
Oh.
But you can still celebrate my presence.
We can. He's drinking beer already, too.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
That clear beer. Pepsi clear beer.
It's just vodka ice. Not a fifth in there.
Have you fixed the NIL situation yet, Berm?
I haven't.
It's a mess, Mitzi.
It is. Big time.
We've lost the plot of college football.
What?
Yes.
I feel like everybody now, even guys that are like 28, so it's not even like old dudes.
Not the old heads. No.
Like it's one thing for, I don't even say we're that old, but we're almost 40.
We're that old.
But like I'm listening to Eddie. Eddie George is respected as you're going to find. He is a great dude, won a Heisman. He's a coach now. So he's like guys that were great players and coaches, I feel like have a unique perspective on it. And I guarantee you, even Dion, guys just like this who, I'm pro getting the dude's money, but like, I don't want this, I'm going to transfer here or that. Like, you lose the ability to improve as a player when all you're worried about is like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this. Like, the coaches hate me. No, they don't. They just want you to be a dude and get better and be responsible and be accountable to your team. They're coaching.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a foreign concept because at some point in time, once people define that they realize like this kid's got a lot of potential, we try to then become their friend as opposed to their coach.
Keep them around,
and
keep
like,
them happy.
Stay here with me, and then maybe I can somehow latch onto you, and you'll be my glider and like glide me into some better position in life. Instead of like, hey, you know what? I'm going to respect you. I'm going to coach you really hard. And once I know you can handle those things, then we can have that relationship where, dude, I'm going to get on you when I need to. I don't need to get on you every day because you show up and work because you know what the expectations are for you because that's what we've laid out. But it takes a little bit of time to get to that point.
We entered this player empowerment era of college football a couple years ago, which, again,
I like that.
There is a case to be made that was absolutely needed. But what we've done is change the power structure of the sport in a way that is untenable for the long-term success of the sport and the actual growth of 17-year-olds into 22-year-olds by the time they leave campus. And once you change the power structure completely, like there is no coming back from it. And that's what I think the people had to see coming. Like this is not a surprise. I think it's a surprise how quickly it's devolved across the sport, but everyone knew that this was the outcome. And we've been talking for years. There's going to be 4 super conferences. Like, this is the way it's going. We know this is how it's going to go. There's going to be more money involved in it than ever, and you're just going to have to accept what's coming and decide either I like this version of college football, which will essentially be, professional sports also.
But even in professional sports, there are rules.
There are
restrictions.
right. That's
not the Wild Wild West.
Like, this is trying to create a professional sport on the fly, as opposed to sitting down, and planning it out, saying, "Hey, we're going to require contracts,
guardrails." I believe they like to call them at the NCAA
there
level.
are none.
You guys are writers. Get a little skeleton here. Figure out what we're going to do.
It's the easiest thing in the world to see coming, and everyone knew this was going to happen when you decided to just open up NIL with 50 different states having 50 different rules without any sort of
enforcement or caring of enforcement.
Right. But it's not even that. It's tampering. It's all the other things that are going into it. You're not allowed to tamper in the NFL. I'll tell you that. You lose draft picks. You lose.
If it becomes so egregious,
like
it kind of always happened, and then people, once they got blatant with like, all right, we've got to do something now.
But we're not. We're celebrating it. We're saying, look at Deion's going to bring all these guys to Colorado. How did all these guys know he was going to Colorado?
But you couldn't tamper with dudes that had 2 years left on their deal and been like, hey. Right. We're going to
get out of your deal right now.
Just get out of your deal. Wait, you don't have a deal? Perfect.
Wait, there is nothing to stop you.
Here's the problem. We went from a little bit of Shawshank to literally Neverland. No rules. Like, can we get somewhere in the middle to like The Sound of Music, to the Von Trapps, where we have some fun and we're singing along, but everybody has some discipline.
But there's something ominous in the background.
Well, the threat of the Nazis, and that might be bad. Kanye may have something to say about that, but I'm talking about some fun with discipline.
That soundtrack would be lit.
We've got crazy, like over here is where we were, where there was no player movement. If a coach didn't like you, this and that, coaches could do whatever they wanted. Players, you're stuck in rigidity, can't make any money, can't do that. Like, okay, we need to get some of these things going this way. Sure. And instead of like moving along the spectrum, it's like,
baby steps is just
shoots and ladders.
Here you go.
Shoots and ladders. Whoosh, straight to the bottom.
Sprinkled Peter Pan's dust on him.
Get over here. We're flying around. Eat whatever you want. No rules, just right.
Imagine all of the extra schmear that's on these bagels now.
There's schmear is all over the place.
So much schmear.
Like, hey, can we like just kind of tone it down?
But this is the problem. It was so ridiculous 10 years ago that you couldn't give jelly for a bagel donut, or a bagel.
A bagel donut?
Yeah.
Both
at
the same time.
A jelly bagel donut?
Never
donut.
No, it's the jelly and
a donut.
You couldn't even have schmear for bagels at the Woody.
No locks?
You weren't allowed. No, certainly no locks.
No, you're not getting locks.
meat.
No locks.
Let's not be crazy.
Yeah,
But
no
now,
toppings at all. Dry.
Now,
Dry.
Eat this everything bagel dry.
now it's like
Enjoy.
you can do anything you want. I mean,
Now you're slopping around in the wet mud.
it's unbelievable.
2-year
Jelly,
starters.
bagel,
We shouldn't
jelly.
talk about this anymore, though. We have beaten this to a pulp.
Well, the thing is, people have got upset where, someone put an idea out. It's like, hey, if there's all these Buckeye fans, if everybody donate, you think about all the money you waste and this and that. And I'll never tell anybody how to spend their money or what to do with it because it's hard,
Yeah,
hard earned or soft earned dollars,
Sure,
however
doesn't
you get
matter,
it, whatever it is, it's yours. I'm not going to be hypocritical because I don't like people taking my money and doing things with it that I don't appreciate. So I'm not going to tell someone what to do with theirs. Like, tell me what you value, where you spend your time, where you spend your dollars, and I love Ohio State, I'm a passionate fan. Okay, well, I don't believe in this. Instead of like, hey, if everybody gave $5 a month or something, you found 50,000 or 100,000 fans, you do this, donate to NIL. It's not getting a Starbucks once a week or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And like we give these guys get plenty of this. Okay, it's fine, but do you enjoy watching Ohio State be able to compete with Georgia and Bama, or do you want to see them basically become Wisconsin or Iowa? And like, well, it's not. I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. Don't tell me where you tacitly are. I'm telling you, if you want to see this is the way that it ultimately has to go because other fan bases and other conferences are doing that.
I think a lot of that problem is a lot of people don't believe we'll get to that point. It's sort of how bad does it have to get?
Well,
before.
I mean,
it is possible.
It's close.
You are 3 years away from that.
Thanos has that other ring, and he's the other stone, and it's like pulling in.
So there is, somebody asked me on the Ohio State rivals.com message board last week, like, what is it going to take to get to that? And the answer is a lot more losing.
Yeah.
And that's not that far away. And you have to understand that you, as a Buckeyes fan, you're going to have to decide what you value.
And that's what I'm saying. If you don't value it, then that's good. That's the problem. Like, you're telling me, I'm like, this isn't exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a threat. It's just
this
just
is
the way
the way
it
it's
goes.
going. This is
when
the
you had
sport.
your coach come out and say you need $13 million to keep this roster, together.
Intact.
Like that's real.
That's
real.
real.
Talk. Because
Literally was why I have no idea, and I have no idea what room it came from. I was walking down the hall. I heard there's the only thing. There's no way all these schools have this much money. That was the only line I'm like, I'm not even engaged yet. I don't want to know who said it. I don't want to, but I'm like, this is the reality. And you may not like it. If you don't want it, then that's cool. And it's awesome. Like my dad played at Miami, Ohio. My brother played at Ohio University. They're playing to try to win a MAC championship. That's essentially all they're playing for now. That's essentially kind of all that it would be here.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
is that what you want?
Berm said, why are we going to beat this in the ground? Well, it's because Ohio State has publicly come out, and Gene Smith had his statement and said, here are 3 collectives that you can use. I think there are some flaws with all of them.
There are flaws with all of them, but I honestly think the people that are involved with all of them, the money is getting to the players. My initial worry with this is that it was like
Paying
getting
themselves
siphoned off and this and that. I'm like, I don't want to give money to something where it's not getting directly. But I do believe that by Ohio State kind of tacitly endorsing these, it's going to be above board. I mean, it's going to have some small operating costs, and the rest is getting to the players. Because the people that are involved, I think, just want to see Ohio State be good.
It has to be operating costs. That is actually one of Ohio State's problems, is no one is doing this full time.
Yeah.
And at other schools around the country,
they have people running it.
They have
being paid.
They have 10, 12-person staffs who are handling this on a day-to-day basis. Ohio State has thought they could do this in a way where it's sort of,
removed
on the side, and we're going to be above it, and that's just not possible. You can't do that.
Rise above it.
There are a number of flaws that you can point to, and I think the reason that I was, not a huge fan of the statement on Thursday from Gene Smith, or potentially a press conference that they, maybe intended to have.
What was the exact statement? Because I've heard
we need support from Ohio State fans to continue to fund the program at the level that we want to. They wanted to say a lot more about it, and maybe at some point soon they will. And it just said, hey, Ohio State fans, please be aware that these are the 3 avenues that you can use to get money into the hands of players. Cohesion, the foundation, and the third one, I'd actually never.
That was all basketball. Though,
I had actually never heard of that.
The O Foundation.
Oh.
And then you look in Cohesion, which I believe to be the most effective behind the scenes of the bunch, but also has by far the smallest footprint at least compared to the foundation. It only had several hundred followers on social media. They'd made no effort to bring attention to that at all. So,
but that's not true. In as much that the cohesion cohesion is on the scoreboard at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
But if you don't say what it's about, then
no one knows.
What's the point of it being up?
Well,
I've had
they may have made some effort, just not
to explain, because they didn't want to have to come out and say, this is what this is, give us money. But for your very reason, which on Thursday you're like, this is not going to be well received by Ohio State fans that are already paying $250 for a game ticket, and I get that. But this is.
Someone asked me about this. Gosh, was it Friday? No, because we did all. I think it was maybe Tuesday. Like, what do Ohio State fans think? Actually, no, it was. I was doing the rounds at the Army-Navy game, and I was on another show. It was in Tennessee. Like, what do Ohio State fans think about it? I'm like, well, I mean, they're not really overly enthused. They go, I know in Tennessee they've been doing this for years. It just went from bags to bank accounts. So now it's actually like tracked. Yeah. But I mean, there's some reality to that.
But it's not.
Yeah,
it's still not.
I understand that, but
there is an upper crust.
You're at least
level.
allowed to do it now.
But there's a comfortability with just the duration of time that's been going on at more of a high level, and it's never really happened here. And people, well, we don't need it, and we didn't. But that's all changed when now there is no board, there is no above and below board. The threshold is so low.
There's not just comfort in those other areas of the country. There's also infrastructure, and so it's easy to say, well, why don't we just crank this a little bit wider and watch it happen?
Call Mattress Mac.
So Ohio State needs fans to donate, but they also need 5 or 6 of their wealthiest boosters around the country to step up and donate directly to the football program and not to the school at large. And that's a bigger issue.
That's really where my issue became in with the Thursday, appealing directly to the fans. And maybe it's just intended to be a broad message for everyone. I didn't think it was coming across that way. But as Berm said, it's the boosters, it's the people with their names on the buildings that money has to be diverted more towards the collectives, not at the scale for what we're talking about. Like the fan initiative and that part of it, Bob, does have to be part of it. $5, $10, whatever it is. But the scale to like actually get to pay $8 million for a quarterback the way that Tennessee was, think how many. You'd need more than just the amount of people that are going to the horseshoe to get to that amount.
Oh, yeah.
So it has to be more involved in that.
And the thing is, too, and I think Ryan's talked about that. I mean, I don't want highest bidder players on the team. But I told him, you can't offer someone nothing when they're getting offered $250,000 somewhere else. They'll come here for less because they know they're going to get developed, and they're not, being penny wise and pound foolish, like looking down the road, like, okay, if I come here, I can be a first-round draft pick, get developed and all these things. But it's hard for it's a lot of their families are getting leaned in, like, okay, over 3 years you get this amount of dollars in case something does happen and you don't turn out to be the player we
they'll
thought.
Come here for less when you're competing against Auburn and Miami. Yes. They're not going to come here for less when you're competing against Georgia and Alabama. Yeah. So there has to be a level to what's going on here. And that's why ultimately what you see at these other schools, Alabama has one called like Red Elephant, I think. It's their monthly donation. You have 15,000, 20,000 people donating $10 a month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that you do have to have that element, but again, there's a
Can
segment.
we get the roundup at Kroger? Can that be part of it?
There's a segment of the Ohio State booster elite that believes that if you donate to the school, that the rest will happen, and it's actually the other way. You have to donate to the academic or the athletics first, and that will bring in more students, and that will raise your endowment.
Last time I checked, you didn't get 70,000 people in the stadium to go watch a gosh darn science project.
That's right. That's the bottom line.
James Conn knew it.
You have to. Alabama is where it is because of Nick Saban. Alabama as a school has gotten significantly better in the last 15 years because of the football program.
Ohio State as a school has gotten significantly better since 2002 because of the football program.
Now, the difference is Ohio State's done it with the donations going to the school. Alabama's done it with the donations going to the football program, and now it looks like they were about 15 years ahead because those people are comfortable donating directly to the football program, and there is a cross-section of Ohio State boosters who say, hey, that's not what we're here about. We're still supposed to be, academics first. And nope, not anymore. Sorry. Doesn't matter. The same people who are going to come here for business school are still going to come to Ohio State for the Fisher School of Business. It's still going to happen. But you have to worry about getting wins, getting championships, that will bring improved facilities, that will bring more students, that will bring more money to the endowment of the school, blah, blah, blah. It has to go that way now. And people just have to get comfortable with it or stop, as you said earlier. You lose the right sort of to complain about it.
It's like if you don't vote, you don't get a chance to
Right.
complain. If you don't pay taxes, you don't get a chance to complain.
This is your chance.
And you might go to jail.
This is your chance to pay taxes to the Ohio State football
To
program.
the
Brian.
Ohio State-
It's a
Big
bad luck, believe
government
me.
firm. Back at it, boys. We
Yeah,
haven't
boy.
heard from him in a while. But
Believe me.
BGB is
And I don't like with what we're saying. This isn't something
It's
that
weird.
I never thought
No,
that that's
it's-
like I would ever be a proponent of this. And as I sit here and look at it, I'm like, this is the only logical way. I don't see another avenue unless there's some sort of gold seam that's in around here we can mine out. Like,
But you don't know.
It's
the
underneath
Olentangy
the
is fairly
Olentangy.
low. The
Yeah.
Olentangy is fairly low right now. Now's the time to look.
See, Berm and I both knew that it was
Start-
under the Olentangy. I don't know
start-
why we haven't
start
been mining
panning,
it.
start
Yeah.
panning in there, see what's going on.
No one likes this, but the idea is you either have to like this or you have to like mediocrity. And I personally would prefer to win. That's
Like
just
Singletary knows.
that's my personal
I
take.
want winners.
Okay. So,
Anything else?
So no more new buildings on campus, just at the Woody Hayes.
well, I mean, if you continue to win at a high level,
It'll
there's still
come.
going to be more money to be made from that. You have to have good players to put in those buildings, in my opinion. It's not necessarily a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah, I agree. And I
It used to be
I
the
think
other
those
way.
people that give the money give money because they want to be a part of a winning program, right? So if you tell them, hey, this money's going here now.
But it did used to be that way, Jay-Z, where if you're going to get the high-level recruits, the facilities arms race was the only way you could because you could
That's why everybody was
couldn't get
that's why
anyone
everybody was redoing them every 10 years.
give them the money.
Yeah.
But now it's the other way. It doesn't matter if you have a water fountain in your locker
Yeah,
room.
that's true.
It does not matter. They would rather
the,
have
cash
a
machine.
little
Cash in the
put an
You going out tonight, hit that thing up, give me
put
some
an
money
ATM
here. All
in
right, here
there,
we go.
and you get a code every time you score a touchdown.
Actually, a great idea.
That is a great idea. In the end
Instead of
zone.
helmet stickers,
In the end zone at the shoe, you score, you get into the money.
no more
pit
helmet
right away.
stickers, just cash.
What if they
You need to ride home from the bar, you're in cash cab.
Oh boy,
Change the helmet stickers to little QR codes for people to donate.
that's you don't need all. You only need one. They just put that on
Each
the
one
back.
is to their individual bank accounts.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Who needs to earn Buckeye leaves for Ohio State to beat Georgia? One player that has to be big this week.
CJ Stroud.
Jeez, yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we're done.
And
And
that's-
see you later. All right. Fun
Talk to-
casual conversation.
talk to you guys after the game.
All right, guess
That's
we're
it.
just done. Let's
CJ
just
Stroud has
quarterback.
to play the best game of his career. If he does, Ohio State will win.
It's an awesome opportunity for him. It's a legacy builder. Because really,
Yeah,
this is a knock on him. I mean, he hasn't beaten Michigan. He hasn't won a Big Ten championship. He'd be the first quarterback in quite some time to say that. And I think a national championship alleviates some of those pains because you'll have a banner associated with your name that will be inside of the Woody Hayes and outside prominently in the stadium. And so that has the chance to wipe all of that away by him going out there and putting – because for them to win, he will have to play great. There are other guys that need to play great too. Get protection up front. They need honestly need to have a great game out of whoever's toting the rock.
No one can play their worst game of the year, which is what happened against Michigan. You had a handful of guys play by far their worst game of the year.
And they weren't even that bad, though. They were just bad in certain spots, I thought.
That game wasn't as bad as
No, I don't think it was as bad. I think there was a couple bad, you got to make this play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that, which is hard to correct.
Who's
I
your guy,
guess.
Mine Williams?
You know, I love my boy. I don't know, is he healthy? Is he
should be
going
good.
to play?
No, I would say with his deal,
the high end, yeah, I mean,
giving him
enough
a
time.
couple weeks where like you're not out there practicing, trying to get ready and just rehabbing to play. You can actually rehab to get healthy. I would say that he will be as close as you're going to get to.
Yeah, I mean, I think him having a
100%.
big game, I think we need him to be a factor. I don't know. I would almost rather lose this game by letting CJ go out and just try and throw it around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, use the run as a secondary, you know, not maybe start off pounding like, hey, we're just going to come out, we're going to throw the ball. That's what we do. We have this quarterback. We're going to test your secondary, and then we're going to give you Mine Williams downhill. So I don't know if Mine has to I mean, I still think CJ is our guy. If we want to hang with him, I heard they're going to score 40 points no matter what. So we got to be scoring touchdowns, and I think that comes through CJ in the air.
I mean, even with CJ, they're like defensively, we're going to have to play good.
Well, defensively, it's going to be who can match up with the number 19.
Brock Bowers.
And then the
Darnell
other
Washington.
I mean, we got two
The
huge
mountain.
tight ends. what do we do there? How do we,
They
stop
run the
those
ball very
guys?
well. They have a
Well,
good
then they have-
offensive line, and they have the 2 best tight ends in the country, and that's a problem.
It's opportunity, Berm.
It's an opportunity.
That's
not
the way
a
I see
problem.
it.
There you go.
Absolutely. I'm positive.
How should they defend those tight ends, Bob?
So, and this is the issue, because McConkey, I think, will be back for him. So he's okay. He's a pretty decent player on the edge. But you're going to have to pack the middle of the field. And they move around. What's his name? Bowers, 19 so much. He's like an H-back slot. I mean, they
Carry the ball a few times.
That's what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
treat him almost. You go watch, Kittle with the Niners. Like that's what they want to do. He is an offensive weapon. Now the thing is, they have the guys who have played the best. Sans the last game. I mean, you have Lathan Ransom, you have Josh Proctor, Ronnie Hickman. I would say that those guys are good in their ability to get in there and hopefully be able to match up a little bit. And then also, Steel Chambers is a pretty athletic dude now. I mean, he might have to. He's not the tallest guy in the world, but I mean, none of the 6'3", 6'8", like it's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference.
When I played Tony Gonzalez in the NFL, I'm like, I'm going to keep you at the line of scrimmage because I've watched on film what happens when you get in jump balls down the field, and that only ends up on Sports Center for that guy. So we're not going to do that. So you have got to make sure whoever's in line is not getting down the field. Find a way to press him up, stop the run, force Stetson Bennett. And our corners have to. And honestly, as we talk about this may be the big test for them. You got to play with no help because the rest of it is going to be inside. Mm-hmm. And it's not like they do crazy, 4 wide. Dude, they go 2 tight ends a lot. They pack it down. They run it on you. And so it's going to be 9 on whatever inside. And whoever's wide, that's you.
A lot like Michigan.
You got to own it. Not give me looking back, playing man with your eyes in the backfield and all kinds of other stuff. You have got to know what's coming on. You got to have it locked down. And if they beat you, it's because their dude made an unbelievable play. But they cannot have anything on the perimeter. It's got to all come from inside. You pack it down and you say, hey, we're going to give you our best. We're going to double, switch off, back and forth, hopefully stop your run. If we can get you in long yardage, your quarterback's, 5'11" and not the strongest arm in the world. We'll see if we can make him look like a guy who didn't get a scholarship coming out of high school. Because that's the reality of what he was. So don't let him be a dude. Make him push it all to him and see what he can do.
I love it.
We got a lot of time to talk about this game next week.
Yeah, we're going to. We just had to celebrate Nicole's birthday first and foremost today at Roosters in the Horseshoe Lounge for a fun casual joint. We are going to have a much more in-depth breakdown of Ohio State and Georgia next week before everybody just
Christmas next week, huh?
Yeah,
breaks for the holiday.
Goes out and breaks for the holiday.
Gosh,
and
next
then
week is Christmas week.
It's crazy.
Berm and I hit the road to Atlanta. What a trip it
You guys riding horses? I know Berm likes to go real old school.
No. We're taking a car.
I thought it was more general.
A car.
I thought it was General Sherman style. We're going down there. The cavalry's coming, torches in hand, ready to go.
I wanted to take a train.
I don't think that's.
You should have done a train or a Greyhound.
Yeah,
those
sure,
are really
bow ties.
comfortable.
Greyhound.
Yeah, Greyhounds are comfortable.
Nothing like 25 hours in a
No,
bus to
that'd be
get
awesome.
ready for a trip. So,
Goodbye, everyone.
getting ready for that. Thanks to Nicole.
You
Happy
could stop
birthday.
in Nashville on the way down there then.
Well,
Maybe Knoxville, with
Knoxville.
Austin's peeps.
Nashville's out of the way.
Check in with everybody, say hi.
Do have to go through Knoxville. There's a chance that
You do
maybe
get
we
to go through Knoxville.
Get to
see your old stomping ground.
It's a privilege. It's an opportunity.
An opportunity.
And everything I'm sure will be open on Christmas at whenever we get there, 10 o'clock at night. Jay-Z, Bob, Berm, I'm Austin. Thanks for joining us this week in Roosters. We'll be back here next Monday. Enjoy your week, and happy birthday, Nicole.